So welcome to our debate, The Activist Museum Going Deeper. We are very happy and honored to have two great colleagues with us today, Olga Honchar from Ukraine and Tony Buttler from the United Kingdom. I do appreciate your being available for this conversation. It was such a short notice. And I would like perhaps to start with Olga, give you perhaps the first minutes of this debate to share whatever you think you wish to share with us at this point.
Okay, I'm start with the phrase Доброго вечора, ми з України. Hello, we are from Ukraine, because every guy say hello in your languages, yes. And now we stay in Lviv, located in Lviv, in office territory of Terror Museum. It's in the past is the old synagogue, and now we have reparation in this old flat. And we can continue work like museum office, exposition is closed, but also we continue work like a team who want to protect the collection, and also we organize a lot of informatical work. We have a lot of interview with journalists, and also share information about people who was repressed in Ukraine in period of the Second War and after Second War, because we want to show that this Russia terror, it's long story for Ukraine, and also this day, today we don't have air warning, and it's very strange. Now we think it, oh my God, we don't have air warning. Maybe something terrible happening, and we don't know. Yes, and also we every day we see this news from another region of Ukraine, and we see a lot of people in Lviv who lost their home, and we try to live and work and imagine the future, imagine some plan for Ukraine. Yes, now but also we have very beautiful spring, sunny, flowers, and for Lviv it's not typical, because in general we have rain. Yes, and some journalists that come today and say your city looks very normal.
Yeah.
Yes, but for Lviv it's typical. We try to be normal in any condition. Yes.
Yes. Well, our eyes are on you, and we keep reading the news and we keep following. And I would like also to share with everybody now in the chat an interview with you today. It was published on Hyperallergic, and it was giving us some more details about the Museum Crisis Center, which was set up quite fast as a great need, as an urgency to help museum professionals to safeguard the collections. Do you want to talk to us a bit more about this? And what kind of help you get or you need?
Yes, now we monitor the situation in the regional Kiev, Chernihiv, Kherson, Kharkiv, Sumy, and other Lugansk, Donetsk region, in the local regional museum, not national. Yes, and every day we do this monitoring. Also, 2 days ago we have news from Mariupol Museum, and some Mariupol museums workers call to Museum Crisis Center and say, oh my God, yes, we have this contact. And every day we monitor situation, and organization fundraising to have more money to send these people in region. And we continue this work, and
Where do you fundraise from?
Now
Who
we
contributes and how?
Now we have donation from Mythos Berlin, from European Commission, from Pinchuk Art Center, private organization in Kiev, and from Kiev Biennale is also private organization. But today I have a letter from people from USA. I don't know this woman, but she know about crisis center and sent me letter and want to send some money, and also some people, if I don't know, also can help to this museum crisis center. And also we have a lot requests from ICOM Czech Republic, ICOM Germany, and other found from Polish, from Switzerland. And now we communicate about some special materials, packet materials, some furniture and other protection materials. Yes, and this we in progress is continuum process every day, calling, communicate, yes, and so on.
Yeah. Well, we've seen some statements from ICOM International and also from UNESCO. I don't know, I'm asking both of you, how strong do you think these statements are? How much they respond to the situation at this moment?
Yes, I was in one meeting with UNESCO, and UNESCO worried, and UNESCO now prepares some program for Ukraine. And also UNESCO want some list of needs from museum. Okay. Yes, but for me, we were thankful for all this help. But for me, important to understand that UNESCO and other organizations must understand that now we must also think about new plan for heritage in Ukraine and for heritage in other country, because war in Ukraine shows that all rules or all agreement not work. And if we have situation with the bombing of museum, theater, you can hide this to the shuttle, but
that's why I was asking you also, maybe Tony can share with us also his thoughts, because I found the UNESCO statement, reminding both sides of the laws and of their international obligations. I don't know if you read them, Tony, and what did you think about them?
Well, it's clear that the supranational organizations like UNESCO are still talking in the language of both sidism and encouraging both sides to adhere to the especially the 1954 Hague Convention. There's still a obfuscation from UNESCO, and that feels wrong in the face of aggression from one party. That both sides, the appeal is to both sides. When there's clearly an act of aggression from one of the sides towards the other.
Yes. And what did you think about the general reaction of the museum world to what's happening in Ukraine? We also had NEMO, the network of European museum organizations, that brought together some information about different ways museums are offering to help, sometimes offering storage or support for museum professionals. What do you think of the overall, reaction to what's going on?
So in Europe, there's obviously a desire of all European museum professionals to support Ukrainian colleagues. I think one of the challenges is the limitations beyond the professional that museum colleagues can give. So obviously solidarity and support, information, and then more practical support like packing materials and that sort of thing, that one would hope that collectively there is enough practical support that could be given to Ukrainian museums from around Europe. But I think it also reflects the challenges beyond museums of what to do, of what of what we as a continent can do in the face of this aggression. And museums are part of this world. They're part of that broader society and community within Europe. And this is something that Europe hasn't faced for 80 years. And so the current response from the museum profession kind of mirrors the response from society at large. And I think perhaps something, and I, as a museum director at the other end of Europe, there are things that we, what can we do other than offer solidarity and practical support for colleagues in Ukraine. So I'd be really interested to hear from the rest of the group here what they think.
I was thinking, though, as I was listening to you, that one of the Facebook posts that touched me the most these days, reading, the declaration, the statements of different museums, etc., was when your museum, in a very natural way, in a very calm way, reminded people that some time ago you had the Lampedusa cross exhibited in your museum, and then a few weeks ago you had a Ukrainian dance group performing, which somehow sends us a message that this is not just an opportunity to say something about an issue that everybody is discussing at this moment. This is something that is part of who you are in your museum.
Yes. So a more general point, that's really good to talk about. So just some background, the Lampedusa cross is a wooden cross that was made by a carpenter on the island of Lampedusa in just off the coast of Italy. And it's made from the wreckage of a boat that was taking migrants across the Mediterranean for North Africa, that was shipwrecked. And half the occupants of the boat drowned and the others were washed up on the island. And the carpenter made makeshift crosses as grave markers on the island for those that died and were washed up on the shore. And one of those crosses was given or acquired by the British Museum. And the cross itself has been touring around a range of regional museums and came to our museum in Derby for 4 months at the back end of last year and this year. And we saw the cross as a means to explore issues around migration and the refugee crisis across the world. So prior to the aggression, the Russian aggression and the war in Ukraine, the focus of migration was around countries like Syria and Eritrea and Iraq and Palestine. And it was very poignant that the Ukrainian, we have a nice sized regional Ukrainian community in Derby, and the dance group performed at the museum in January before the invasion. And we also have a big Bosnian community that settled in Derby after the Bosnian War, and now that community is thriving. It's one of the most active diaspora communities in the city, and we've worked with the Bosnian community as well over the coming, in previous years. But the cross itself is a reminder that migration and the refugee crisis happens all over the world. It's also a reminder in Western countries, especially, as to the hostility towards migrants and refugees. We at the time that the cross, before the venue before ours, was in a place called Hastings on the south coast of England, which is where many unofficial migrant crossings happen. And there are people there are neo-Nazis and the right wing of society in Britain that are actively trying to stop people coming in, crossing over into the country. So the work that the museums do in showing that these are global issues and that are relevant to people living in our communities, because many people in our communities, you know, have sought refuge or asylum, and have now become part of our community and major contributors to the, you know, the welfare of our city. So I think our approach is to normalize all this, all these discussions, and not make it performative.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back in June 2020, following the murder of George Floyd in America, the Black Lives Matter protests sort of broke out in the UK, and every other museum was pushing out statements in support of Black Lives Matter and support the Floyd family. And I think and the rush to put statements out without backing it up with really deliberative and ingrained work caused quite a lot of disillusionment. And it feels the same, you know, in this context with the Russian invasion. You know, there has to be a deep response to this in the long term. There has to be an immediate response now to help Ukrainian colleagues. But what is the deeper response? And using those deliberative qualities that museums have to tease out those issues so that they embed within our community rather than reactive. And I think that's the challenge for us as museum professionals.
Yeah, I would like to get back to the part where we discuss performative statements, but first perhaps we could go back to Olga. I think we're all concerned. We are all aware that expressing our solidarity is not enough at this point, and we're questioning ourselves, what else can we do? Is there something that you can tell us, something that you feel we could be doing and we're not doing?
First of all, I want to say thank all people in Europe and other continents who now helping in worrying about Ukraine, because it's very important for not for government Ukrainian people, for every people in Ukraine. And I was shocked that a lot of people in the world want to help to Ukraine, and a lot of young young men want to fight in Ukraine. And today I go to office and see some men from another country, and they go to military office. Yes, military office. Command in Ukrainian languages, and now we have a lot soldiers from another country. Yes, and a lot of humanitarian helping, and every day some people from museum organization call and say, we want to help you. And I say, guys, we need time to understand how to help, because first of all, we want to survive.
Yeah.
And the general questions for all, please do something for people stop bombing Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's questions. I don't know, for NATO, for what, who can stop this, because we want to survive, and we try to survive in Ukraine, but we understand that we have 1 month, and every day some discussion, someone worried, but bombing continue. Yes, but also important. Yes, we have a lot of program for Ukrainian artists and scientists. And why we create Museum Crisis Center? Because when war was started in Ukraine, a lot program to support people who go out from Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I understand that for many of these professionals is the new chance for this career. Yes, and I'm asked, okay, we must first of all we must helping people who stay in Ukraine, because if all people from culture sector and sciences sector go to Europe.
Yeah.
It was the end of Ukraine.
Yes.
And it's why we create Museum Crisis Center. Yes. And now we thinking a lot and discuss about program, academic program and residential program where Ukrainian artists, Russian artists, Belarusian artists invited for one program. And I can't understand this because Ukrainian artists who was under attack in Ukraine from sky and Russian artists who worried about Instagram is closed, my heart is broken. It's not one.
It's not the same thing.
Yes, yes.
It's not the same thing. Yeah.
And also we see these photographs from Berlin where boy is the flag of Russia and girl with the flag of Ukraine. So have some, I don't know.
Yeah. For somebody who's in Ukraine, all these things might look a bit out of place. Yeah.
Peace. No, guys. Yes, we also want peace, but we want that Russia must pay for all that they destroy in Ukraine, and for all lives, yes, and for destroyed museum, libraries, and other institutions. We need justice. And now when we have bombing from the sky, and in Berlin action with these boys and girls, and why girls in Ukrainian flag? Maybe boys can must be in Ukrainian flag. It's USSR propaganda. It's not about normal world. It's some high from the past. And when I see this, I understand that culture front in Ukraine and culture front in other countries is one of the part of this war, not only like physical war when yes, and but I'm staying in Ukraine, and my general is survive with my family, with my museum team, with my collection. But also in Europe we have this situation where some I don't know, organization want to помирити Росію, як це сказати?
To make Ukraine and Russia friends.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
yes.
Yeah, I think
we need we need all to understand a bit the context, because for people to wish for peace and to give their support, it's natural also at this point, but we need to understand the context. Maybe we could open up, because Tony asked a question to all of us a little while ago. What else can we do? And perhaps it's not just what can we do now that we are in front of a crisis, it's also a question of what have we been doing? Because culture is part of the war. It is used in many ways. And the question is, where do we stand before the crisis, during the crisis, after the crisis? So I would invite our colleagues also who wish to turn their cameras on and take part in this debate to do it now. You can ask questions, or we can try to think together about what else should we be doing. If someone wants to talk, you can raise your hand or just turn your microphones on, whatever you prefer. Yes, Janet, please.
Hi, Olga. How are you? Hi. I would like to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about the artist life right now in the Ukraine. I don't know if it's allowed to ask this question because it's a museum topic. We are all.
It's all right. Yeah, no, of course, it's a culture.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you for the questions. Now a lot of artists moved to Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Uzhhorod from other region, which now under attack, and networking work. All art finders in Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Uzhhorod, and cooperating in on some flat, on some place, and a lot of them do some work. If you walk on street of Lviv, you can see some graffiti, some artworks, and but also a lot of artists go to Poland, Germany, USA, and other country, and try to do something, actions, exhibition about Ukraine situation in another country. Yes, some artists try to evacuate their paintings from city which now under attack to save us city. But also art life continues because art is very strong people.
Yeah, I read today there is a gallery in New York that is presenting work from Ukrainian artists at this point. We also have an orchestra in Portugal that dedicated the whole month of March to Ukrainian composers. The truth is we know so little, and it's an opportunity to get to know better the culture of the country. I don't know if anybody else would like to make a comment or ask a question. Yes, Janet.
I'm sorry that I have another question.
That's all right. Yeah.
Well, what I hear from Germany or Pro that there are a lot of people are really concerned about the destroyment of the cultural heritage, and it's also more complicated to observe it from the outside than I imagine from the inside. And the question is, how can we support you to, for instance, documentate, to support with documentation or with digitalization if it's needed? So I don't know if this is a part of your museum crisis work you already do, or if it's something we could do from the outside to support you with that.
Yes, Museum Territory of Terror now have helping from Mreža Pameti is one of the project from German, and Mreža Pameti support buying some online archive, and now we download some materials from Territory of Terror to this online archive. We need this helping, but now we must survive, because when we have bombing, we can have new education and new lessons for new format of work. And now we have 1 month, and we were exhausted. Some helping coming to Ukraine, also pocket materials box, and we're waiting. And some helping now is also we have some money from Museum Crisis Center, but now a lot of people organization ask about helping, about program, about the next step. But you must understand that we only 2 last day we don't have bombing from the sky.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I don't have for you normal answer.
Yeah, we understand that, Olga.
Yes, and today we are waiting about this NATO meeting, about some I don't know, new idea for Ukraine, and we were exhausted, and we understand that we want to live in Ukraine, survive in Ukraine, have life, career, rebuilding museum, but we must understand that the next day we don't have this terrible bombing and situation like in Mariupol, Chernihiv, where every day we see that people die. We need to be sure about tomorrow. Yes, we need to be sure about tomorrow, and I understand that it's not questions for you personally. Yes, but
no, but I think, Olga, I don't know if you agree, but I think also we all have our networks, and whenever you'll be ready to, you know, you can organize your thoughts and your work, and you'll need us, we'll be here, and we'll connect. We have our networks. Perhaps if you agree, we could go back. I'm sorry, I'll insist a bit on that. We take the pressure off Olga giving us answers that it's not the moment perhaps to give. They're not ready to answer, and to think a bit about. I saw many museums starting from Portugal, not only museums, different cultural organizations that normally don't take a stand about anything, that now they contribute in the efforts to send help to Ukraine, etc. And it sounds normal. At the same time, I'm asking myself, how opportunistic is it? Or in another sense, how superficial is this? What will happen tomorrow? I mean, is this a good lesson for all of us? Will it make us think? There was a question of how Black people fleeing from Ukraine were treated at the border. There is a question of how other refugees were treated at our borders, European borders. Are we learning something from this? Do you think it's causing some more deep thinking? Or is it just, let's say, Olga, don't misinterpret me, please, but is it just an easy situation, an easy issue for us to take a stand?
Can I come in on that
please.
one? I think it's, I wouldn't say it's an easy position, but I think it's something on the doorstep of Europe. And I think, and when you look at the refugee crisis in Syria and the Middle East and other parts of the world, because it psychologically it's far away, and politically there hasn't been, the rest of the kind of political world and society has not at large hasn't come together in that way. So I think we do have to look at ourselves and say, well, why in this case and why not in other cases? But I live in a rural village in the east of England, and the nearest town has 2,000 people, and the streets are full of Ukrainian flags. And this is in a rural part of England, and there are flags everywhere. Flags flying from people's houses, flying from town centres and the smallest village. So I think, psychologically, Ukraine is on the doorstep, and it has made a difference to people's view of the war. I think we also have to ask ourselves some quite deep questions as to why as well.
Yeah, thank you. Marcela?
Hello to everyone.
Hello.
I'm thinking about your questions, and I'm from Slovakia. I work for Slovak National Gallery, and I'm here also with my colleague Jana Švantnerová. And for us, it's a little bit different because we are the neighbor of Ukraine, and we are thinking and discussing a lot what are the next steps, or what are the best things we can do, and so on. And we are in Bratislava, so we are in the western part of the country. But for us, it's like our situation, because for first time in our history, we really are meeting every day with refugees, and we are learning how to help them. And a lot of our working days, or big part of our working hours, we are helping concrete people, for example. And for me, we are quite big institution. For me, the best way is to use our capacity to help with the everyday kind of situations. And also we were sending some wrapping material and so on, but I still think that the most effective way is to send the money, for example, if it's possible for someone.
Thank you, Marcela. Would anyone else like to intervene? No? So perhaps I could go back to what I said a little while ago. We are pressuring Olga with questions because our wish is to help the best way we can. It's not time for concrete answers, probably. As Olga said, this is a people who are trying to survive at this point. But we are here, Olga. We are all colleagues, we all share values, and we'll find ways once you need us, you know where to find us, and we'll get together and help in whichever way we can.
I also want to say thank you all for helping now for Ukraine in government level, in personal level, in institutional level, and we feeling this in Ukraine. Yes, it's very important.
That's important to know that it gets there. Yes.
Yes. I say that every day I have called, and I sometimes I can't say normal how to help because in general, yes, I need time to understand this general plan. Yes, but I think this personal position of every people, not government, personal, yes, it's very important. And if you see some lost Ukrainian people in your country, help, it's the best way. And also I think organization of some action, some exhibition, discussion with Ukrainian artists, it's also very important because it's one part of this culture front, yes, this culture diplomacy. And I understand that a lot of colleagues from Ukraine now don't have resource to organize this meeting, this Zoom, this event. And if you organize something and invite my colleagues, and it's work, and it's very important. And this is one of the front to stop this Russia propaganda, because Russia propaganda is a lot of money, a lot of resource, and this aggressive government politics from Russia, and they have a lot of culture center, and yes, and yes, it's to helping people to organize some event exhibition, and also a lot of journalists coming to Ukraine from other country to show the situation, and they write not only about war, they also write about culture. And I feel in this interest personal, and I understand that we live in world when today Ukraine is the breaking news, and the next day Ukraine not breaking news. It's very long marathon.
Yes, it is.
And I understand for me that it's very long a marathon, and work and boring have today bad news from Ukraine.
Yeah.
And for me, it's also important to say that you must understand it's also very long marathon for you. Yeah. And yes, and I think also that today everybody worried about Ukraine, and the next day it may stop. And we have 1 month of war, and we exhausted, you exhausted, but we don't know how long this war will continue.
Yes.
And I understand that this resource of helping, of support can it is limited, yes, and it's normal. It's normal, yes, but for Ukraine people, it's very long marathon, and I don't understand how long is marathon. Yes.
Yes.
And maybe step by step, and I don't know, waiting that
Yes.
someone killed Putin, and so.
That's what we do, Olga. We'll be here, we'll follow, we'll try, even if it's not breaking news, we'll be there. And we have good friends and colleagues in Ukraine we care about, and there is a huge also Ukrainian community in Portugal as well, and more people arrive these days. And I know from the networks of friends and colleagues that everybody is there to help, to find a house, to find work, etc., including for artists. So we'll be here. We'll be here, and we'll try to do our best as well. As you said in the beginning, it's spring in Ukraine, and spring will prevail eventually. We wish you all the best, especially for those of you who stay in the country. And we hope this is over soon, as it should be. Actually, it should have never started. I thank you once again, Olga, Tony, for being with us today, and all the colleagues who joined us. And we are a great network of people, and we'll keep it that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya.